Carry on, my wayward sons, because today we're hanging out with the Winchester boys and hunting some demons. Supernatural ran for 15 seasons, finally ending in 2020. However, that hasn't stopped the fans from continuing on traditions created by Sam and Dean. Traditions, I guess, like being dragged into the pits of hell and dying over and over. I'm Chris Goodmakers, and I'm here to talk all about Supernatural. Supernatural was created by Eric Kripke, who also brought us the Amazon hit The Boys. The writer and showrunner had spent over a decade working on an idea for a film or series about a pair of demon-fighting brothers in the American Southwest. He eventually sold his idea to the now non-existent WB network. He brought the first season to network television in September 2005. However, his original idea changed quite a bit. This was in no small part because even by 2005, horror-based showrunners were still hearing those terrible, terrible words tumble from the slacked mouths of network executives. How can we make this more like X-Files? Sam and Dean's missing father now played a large role in the setup for the series. The boys were also given a couple dead women in their lives to spur some narratively convenient man pain. Unfortunately for them, these weren't the last women in the Winchesters' lives to meet a terrible, terrible end. The Winchesters are the core when it comes to Supernatural. However, that wasn't always the case. When Kripke was crafting the series for WB, he envisioned more of a focus on the monsters, even kicking around the idea of the series being a semi-anthology. That changed when Jensen Ackles and Padalecki auditioned for the lead roles. Kripke saw the chemistry between them and chose to refocus the series more on the Winchester Brothers. I guess it's good he got an early look at what millions of fan fiction writers would see in the pair. After they were cast, the show quickly gained steam and popularity, in no small part because of the relationship that they brought to the screen. It was a relationship that grew as close behind the camera as it was on the show. The two actors who took on the roles of Sam and Dean quickly became friends with each other. They had an instant chemistry that was noticed by both the series producers and audiences. Over the course of 15 seasons, Jared and Jensen have lived together, gotten matching tattoos, and were groomsmen at each other's weddings. They truly are close friends. You hear me, Tumblr? Close friends. However, that hasn't stopped the pair from having a few rough patches. Early on, they actually had a bad fight that nearly ended their working relationship. Jensen has been coy about the details, but admitted that after it was over, the pair sat down and worked things through. And that was the last time they ever fought. Or was it? It wasn't. The other falling out was more recent. After Supernatural's final episode, Jensen began to work on a potential spin-off series. He kept the show a secret because film and television projects are as ethereal as an unsalted ghost. However, before he could tell Jensen that the show had been given a green light, a news leak forced him to act quickly. He released a statement about the new series, and Jared expressed his dismay that he was uninvolved in the show. Since then, they have talked and worked it out once again. The Winchesters is in production now, but it's not Supernatural's first attempt at a spin-off. As you would expect from a show that's 18 years old, there's a lot of additional content. Supernatural is a lot like the Star Wars universe, except it has more classic cars and dad rock. The world of Supernatural has given us 15 seasons totaling 327 episodes. However, its world isn't just contained to what aired on TV. Since the first episode, there have been dozens of novels, comic books, and expanded lore. There is also an official anime adaptation that lasted one season in 2011. There's also a tabletop role-playing game that lets you enter a world full of vampires, demons, shapeshifters, and cheap overnight motels. I use my action to be sad about my dead mom. Hey, did you ever notice that Dean seems to be a little on the short side? You could be forgiven that thinking he might even be on the low side of 5 feet. Well, this is actually an optical illusion because his longtime co-star is a living half-giant. Jared Padalecki stands at a staggering 6'4", often causing him to tower over the 6-foot-tall Jensen Ackles. Framing the actor with his short co-stars has led to many creative camera tricks and funny moments. One slight gag is that when Sam crawls into the bed of whatever cheap motel he finds himself in, His feet can often be seen hanging off the bed. Good comfort is so hard to find for the tall. While Sam and Dean are two very handsome men, we all know the show's real piece of eye candy. No, it's not Misha. No, it's not Bobby. It's the car people. The black 1967 Chevrolet Impala is an iconic piece of the show's world. It was originally purchased by the boy's father, John, with a suggestion from his own time-traveling son. Since then, it has been nearly destroyed on screen no less than 9 times. Yet it's resurrected over and over again to continue the fight against the forces of darkness. In real life, Eric Kripke chose the vehicle after a conversation with his neighbor. He originally intended Dean to drive a classic Mustang, like a modern Steve McQueen. His neighbor, a car enthusiast, instead recommended the Chevy. To quote Kripke, "My neighbor said it has to be a 67 Impala because you can put a body in the trunk." Kripke did not ask how his neighbor knew this, which was a solid decision. While Sam and Dean are the heart of Supernatural, there is another member of the group that quickly became an integral part of the team. Castiel the Angel is a being of pure light who brings with him the power of heaven's glory.
Hey, ass butt.
Yeah, he loses a lot of his imposing allure as the show goes on, but he never fails to be one of the best things about the series. The Angel is played by the delightful Misha Collins. First appearing in the show's 4th season, he quickly became a regular character in the series. In 2011, Collins was promoting the show's latest season when a series of fan engagements led him to creating the greatest ever scavenger hunt the world has ever seen, aka GISH West. Now shortened simply to GISH, the annual event has seen participation from tens of thousands of dedicated fans. Together they have assisted in thousands of blood, food, and clothing drives. They have helped senior centers and women's shelters and cancer care centers. The event is held every year and has seen participation from Jensen, Jared, and other members of the Supernatural cast and crew. Such a wholesome thing to come from the show that features a death by blender. While we're on important characters featured in the series, we can't leave out Bobby. While Negan played the boy's cool as hell dad, the real father figure in the show was gearhead Robert Singer. Bobby is played by Jim Beaver, and I'm such an adult that I'll let that name pass unremarked upon. He is actually one of the longest reoccurring characters on the show, appearing regularly between season 1 and 11 with smaller appearances in the show's final season. He's such an important character you think they had him planned from the start. However, that's not the case. Bobby was originally only supposed to appear once, in the season 1 finale. Jim Muskrat brought such charm and character to the role that it was quickly expanded into the 2nd season and beyond. Let's talk about some of the Winchester's tools of the trade. An early weapon in the boys' arsenal was the incredibly badass Colt. According to the show's lore, it was crafted by Samuel Colt himself. The gun, along with its original 13 bullets, are capable of dispatching anything, from vampire to demon. The initial bullet limitation doesn't stop the gun from being fired 24 times over the course of the series, with Dean holding the record at 8, though one of those was an alternate universe. Okay, Supernatural was pretty weird. Are you picking up on that yet, viewer? The Latin inscription on the side of the gun reads Non Timbo Mala, which translates to that most badass of Bible quotes, I will fear no evil. Unfortunately, the rest of the sentence, because I'll shoot it in the damn face, was too long to fit on the barrel. Supernatural ran for so long it broke various records. It is, as of this date, the longest consecutively running American sci-fi fantasy show. It's so long running that it even outlasted the network it was on. When Supernatural first appeared on television, it was on the now defunct WB network. The channel first began in 1995 and was known for series like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Smallville. However, by the time Supernatural premiered in 2005, the network was on a downswing. On September 17, 2007, the channel officially signed off as the WB and transitioned to the brand new network named the CW. Of course, they carried over a lot of the same programming. Supernatural quickly set the tone for a brand that grew to include a whole DC universe and the single most nonsensical thing to ever involve Archie. It seems like the CW has fallen on hard times again. However, don't count them out yet, because there will always be a market for smoldering sad boys who get hurt often. The CW knows their audience. The cast of Supernatural has had an equally long career behind the camera as their long-running show. Both Jensen and Jared branched out into film during the show's run. Jensen dodged a gas mask slasher in My Bloody Valentine, and Jared dodged a hockey mask slasher in Friday the 13th. Really branching out and taking some risks, gentlemen. Okay, they have done much more during the show's run. Jensen, for one, has taken several turns behind the camera. The actor has turned director for 6 episodes. His directorial debut was the season 6 episode, Weekend at Bobby's. But since then, he has directed episodes into the show's later seasons. Since the show's end, Ackles has stepped into more of a producer role. While Jensen directed 6 episodes, another member of the cast had him beat by almost double. While the name Richard Speight Jr. may not be a household one, Supernatural fans know him as the devious trickster / Archangel Gabriel. Some of Supernatural's most inventive episodes are because of the reality warping shenanigans that Gabriel puts the boys through. Gabriel's actor has found himself behind the camera a whopping 11 times. While we're on the subject of directors, how about one the show loves so much, it made him a character? The director's so good he only needs 3 letters. Mick G has brought us movies like Charlie's Angels 2 and Terminator Salvation. The height of cinema. He served as an executive producer for Supernatural since its start in 2005. In fact, he got a cameo of sorts in the show's 2nd season. When Sam and Dean find themselves on the set of a Hollywood production, things go about as you'd expect. The character of McGee ends up playing a large part in the episode directing a cheap horror film. He is, however, played by a professional actor, because there's a reason McGee is behind the camera. He does, however, get a proper cameo in the crowd being addressed by his fictional counterpart. Given what usually happens to extraneous characters on Supernatural, it's probably good he stayed in the back. Now for another character in the show that blurs the lines of reality and fiction. During the show's 4th season, the Winchesters find out their stories and likenesses have been appropriated for a semi-successful book series. While the actual author of the series is one Chuck Shirley, aka God Almighty, creator of existence and bringer of light, he also goes by a pen name. Carver Edlund is the nom de plume the Lord uses for his book series, and it's actually a meta-nod to 2 of the show's writers. Jeremy Carver and Ben Edlund have written for the series since its beginning. Outside the world of Supernatural, Ben Edlund has had a long and notable career. He wrote Titan AE with Joss Whedon, but he is absolutely best known for creating the satirical superhero, The Tick. I'm truly sad we never got that Dean Tick team-up episode we deserved. Let's head back and talk a little more about everyone's favorite moody bitch of an angel, Castiel. The character initially appeared as sort of a MacGuffin to rescue Dean from the bowels of hell. The character was originally only supposed to appear for a few episodes. However, fans had a different opinion. The response to the character was huge, and Misha Collins quickly became a regular member of the cast. However, he really wished that he had known that ahead of time. Collins made a few choices about the character that would later come back to bite him in the ass. The first was Castiel's voice. The low gravelly tone Collins used caused a massive strain on his throat. It's fine when you're only doing a few guest spots, but when you're suddenly given whole monologues, it can be a little painful. There's another crucial member of the cast that I haven't mentioned yet. Since his first appearance, Crowley has served as one of the best antagonists the show has ever had. His relationship to Sam and Dean flips from hostile to grudgingly helpful, but he always remains intimidating. The character was directly inspired by the character from Good Omens of the same name. Both are snarky British demons looking to stop the apocalypse. Jensen and Jared do a lot for the show, including getting regularly hurt. When Jared broke his wrist on set, they had to write a reason for Sam to wear a cast for the next few episodes. Jensen also received several carpet burns, and Jared and Misha broke a few ribs. These injuries happened during what is described as a hotel room wrestling incident. See, Tumblr? Like I said, they're good friends. Supernatural has a massive legacy and a huge fan base. Even today, dedicated members of the supernatural community have kept the world of Sam and Dean going strong. Since the show's beginning, it has launched the careers of dozens of actors and writers. Without it, we would have never gotten The Boys, and its influence keeps going to this very day. Of course, we would have also never gotten My Bloody Valentine 3D, so I guess you can't win them all.